I want to start by actually defining a school based on what this whole amendment in this bill is looking at. The definition of the school and actually not referring to it in a direct way. So I want to give that to us so that I can actually expand on some of the concerns. School, by definition in the actual Act, means a place at or from which education is provided to children of compulsory school age during normal school hours, but does not include a place at which registered homeschooling takes place. Now, I realise that when this was being drafted that was taken into consideration and constantly have heard, and I want to thank the department for providing me with an additional briefing based on concerns that I have had from homeschooling providing resource groups. I realise at the time that this has been an issue. Since this bill has been passed in the lower house, there are homeschooling resource groups that have become aware of the bill being passed and that were not even aware that it existed, and they have become extremely concerned. I want to take up some of the things that Mr Limbrick has mentioned, because I too have been contacted by a number of businesses, of which I have discovered some of these businesses only just recently. I've never actually met these people face to face. I've only talked to them via the internet and on the phone based on them contacting me, and I want to thank them for doing that. That they have businesses that they are constituents of mine, and they are providing resources and opportunities to homeschool families. Now, I can say that any resource that is provided to a homeschool family is of great value to that family, and families want to have options. And as it was given to me, and I met with one of these providers that was interstate, not from the ones that are my constituents, they mentioned to me, look, English is my second language. I wasn't born in this country, but my kids were suffering from anxiety, and the situation was that I needed a resource that could provide support for me in teaching English, in teaching language, in teaching things that were going to help my child to be at the level that they needed to be in English and in that area of education. Now, that meant looking for resources. Now, as I understand it, the resources that are based from areas in my electorate that sprung up during COVID, these resource groups, they actually were providing for many of these families where there is school refusal, where there are young people who don't want to go to school, or during the times that actually sprung up during COVID when there wasn't the opportunity for children to go to school and for young people to go to school. And in that time, the level of anxiety rose, and as a result of that level of anxiety rising, some of those kids, once it was time to return to school, found that they actually had issues and they found it more difficult. As has been mentioned before, bullying is also an issue why some parents choose to homeschool. I can say that there can be learning needs and understanding what's going on in that young person's life, and this is actually, homeschooling in Victoria is actually meeting a need for families that are not being met by this current government. Not everybody can afford to have a private school education, or do they live in an area where they feel that that private school is going to be the one that they would want to send their kids to. But there are many families who have bravely undertaking the task of wanting to teach their kids at home, often, as I will say, because of anxiety that was caused during COVID or in the COVID period, often because of bullying or because their child has different learning needs that cannot be met in the system as well as what the parents feel that they could do. And they're willing to look for those resources. Now, the VRQA, which we are about to give the most incredible powers to with this bill, has never been known to actually allow online learning to be approved as an educational resource. In fact, it appears to me that any of these groups that provide tutoring, that provide learning, whether it be videoed, whether it be individual, or whether it be provided to them in small groups, is something that they have a real issue with. And I think that is a backward step. I remember being part of a discussion group about what have we learnt in education as a result of the COVID lockdowns. I remember having to be able to teach using the online learning systems, and I can say it revolutioned my thinking, and I thought there are new ways to do school, there are new ways to do learning, and there are new ways that we need to start to explore for people to have options and resources. And I would think it would be a backward step if we start to now discriminate against groups that are providing resources to families. They're not providing schools. They don't in any shape or form pretend to be a school. They're not a school. They're simply providing resources. And if the VRQA, which has given us the undertaking that is not what they're going after, and we're going to be watching, I can tell you that both my colleague Jess Wilson as the Shadow Minister for Education and myself will be monitoring very, very closely what happens to these particular businesses, because we will support, absolutely will support, the right for parents to have the choices available to them for education and the opportunities available to them. And we are not going to support taking down small businesses. We are not going to support taking down medium-sized businesses. We are not going to support taking down the opportunities that should be available and freely available in a country like Australia and in a state like Victoria, which I know under this government has made everybody nervous when you look at the sort of powers that we are now attributing to the VRQA through this bill. I mean, it concerns me, because the penalties, they could actually cripple and take people out that are providing services that we desperately need, which this government is not not tackling. This government has record highs of teachers that don't want to teach. It has record highs of students that don't want to go to school. It has record highs of students that are being suspended. It's an appalling mess, our education system, with this cluttered curriculum that is driving people mental, even teachers mental, because they can't even get through it. I remember one principal saying to me, oh my goodness, they just sent us another email of something else they want us to stuff into the curriculum. It's just getting ridiculous. And I actually think that homeschooling provides a tremendous opportunity. And I think the proof is in the pudding when you meet not all homeschooling families, not all homeschoolers, but let me say there are some fantastic families out there who are homeschooling, and they deserve to have choice in their resources. And these businesses also deserve to be allowed to stay open and to continue to provide opportunities for resources for families, whether it be in school time or after school. After all, these families are homeschooling. So I just want to say that we will be looking to that. I do have questions that I will be taking to committee, and that our shadow ministry here will be absolutely committed to following up any, and I say any, and please contact us if you have any concerns. My name is Anne-Marie Hermans. Jess Wilson is our shadow minister. I'm the assistant minister. Please contact us if your resource group and your provision of homeschooling is under attack from the VRQA. We want to hear with you. We will stand with you and have a look at your issues, because we want to make sure that options and opportunities are available to all Victorians who want to have choices in their education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs Hermans.